Today we are talking about websites for wedding photographers.
Keep waving. This is good stuff, man.
Welcome to the studio today. I have some notes on wedding photography websites. I have a brand new photography website for my wedding business, and you can check it out if you want. We're gonna actually, in this video, talk to the human being that helped make that website happen. It is a company called Focal, and essentially what they do is they'll have a video call with you. They'll ask you a few things that you like about maybe your current website or about websites in general. Then they will actually go out and they will build you a website for your wedding photography business, one that sounds like you. They have copywriters, they'll write your copy for you, they'll write your packages out for you, and you just kind of give them the bare bones of like, hey, here's my portfolio, here's maybe my pricing PDF, and they will just make it all happen for you. It's a really, really incredible service. And in the month of January, so if you're watching this within January of 2022, they're actually offering this service for completely free, as long as you're signing up for the 1 year of web hosting. Usually, even if you are signing up for the year, this package where they just build you your website costs $935. You are saving that money. You don't have to pay that. They'll just build you a website. They'll have a call. Exactly what happened with me. They'll talk to you a little bit. They'll look at your website. If you have one, if you don't, you can give them some samples and they will make it happen for you. Beyond just the website, as you're going to see within this video, you also get a full back-end booking system as well. They have default contracts, so you can send people your contract and you can actually accept payments and you can process credit cards on your website and you can do all the booking. And the client experience really is kind of next level. I, for a long time, was using a lot of disjointed products. So I was on a Squarespace website for a little bit. I was on a PhotoBiz website before that. I was on a Pro Photo website before that, which was a bit of a struggle in my brain and very difficult. Basically, my issue was that website would always break. There would always be broken links and things that Google just didn't really like. Why is this website kind of half down most of the time? I was also on a GoDaddy shared plan, which means that my website, if you ever tried to go to it in the past, it is maybe the slowest loading website in the history of time, which also doesn't look good to Google, and people would come over to it, and if they're waiting 10 seconds, sometimes 15 seconds for my website to load, they're gonna go to another photographer. They got other things to do. They don't know me yet. They just want to view that page quick to make sure that I'm somebody that they want, and my website won't load. They're gonna head on to another photographer. So very, very happy with this new website, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about it today, and then we're going to actually throw to a call with Lachlan, who is the CEO of Focal. And it's not just like an advertisement call, it's actually a call filled with lots of good information, whether you go with a Focal website or you go and you keep designing your own. This video is part of the 30 days of wedding photography. They're happening on the channel now. So I guess yesterday, a film photography video went up. I have film photography videos coming out every Monday until March, and they were all scheduled and everything was going on those before we decided to do this course. So wedding photography every other day of the week, and then Mondays you get some film photography. And now on to wedding photography websites. I have some notes here. Number one is to make sure your website is fast loading. Unlike mine that was just hosted on GoDaddy and it was just taking a little bit too long to be responsive, too long to show the images, in some cases not even loading at all, and my downtime was actually higher than I would ever like to imagine. All of that has been easily fixed by using Focal, but if you're on a different service and that's not a problem, then that's not a problem for you. Number two, this one comes down to design, simplicity. People aren't at your website to just be blown away by like wow, that's a really cool design. I will say that some photographers are, that I've been to some photography websites and I'm like, wow, that's an incredible design. Jeff Newsom had an amazing one for a long time. Jesh DeRox, an Edmonton photographer, had maybe at the time, I'm gonna say this was like 2011, 2012, really, maybe even before that, maybe 2008, really dating myself in this wedding photography thing. I've been a wedding photographer for about 15 years now. And he had just like a series of questions. You'd come to his website and it would pop up like, how are you feeling today? And it would give you a few answers and you'd select angelic, and then what are you here to see? Like beautiful, I don't remember the descriptors. It was very elegant and very poetic. You select a few things and it would build a custom portfolio based on how you were feeling that day. Very, very nice in theory, I feel like, as a sales tool. 100% connecting with his ideal client. I would say for me to try to emulate anything like that, my client's gonna be like, no, this is weird. Just show me the pictures and show me the packages and I'm ready to book. So remember, no unnecessary design elements. People are there to book you as their wedding photographer and not be wowed at your web design skills necessarily, which means less colors in your design. We all have lots of images which have lots of colors in them, so don't be using 12 or 15 colors. Maybe use 3 or 2 or even 1 color in your actual website design. As minimal fonts as possible. I don't know what the official rule is, but if you can use maybe less than 3 fonts or around 3 fonts, or maybe I should say typefaces, because you're gonna use them in slightly different sizes, which I do feel like is fine. Some people in the web design community will count a different size of the same typeface as an additional font. I find that as long as you maybe have 2 or 3, it doesn't look too confusing. And last on that simplicity point, to make sure that your text is very easy to read, that it's always on a very contrast rich background, which means you're not doing like a almost white text on a white background. It's just not gonna look very good. And also Google kind of sees what your trickery, and it will actually penalize you for it. Number 3, easy to navigate. Make it as simple as possible. That direct line that people know exactly where they're going on my new website. You can see that pricing is the one that I'm pushing everybody towards. And that brings everyone to my packages, which is usually what they're there to see. I've also noticed we'll talk about this in the call, I've also noticed that a lot of my couples that come to my website are immediately going to try to find pricing before they really go deep into my images and my galleries. They want to make sure that I'm at least kind of in their ballpark price range. So they kind of do that. You can watch all this through analytics. We'll talk a little bit more about analytics throughout the 30 days of this course. You can set it up with your focal website very easily. And you can see that people just like come to your website. Some of them click portfolio. A lot of them are gonna click pricing, head over there. And then they're gonna come back, or they're going to just kind of send you a note based on that if they were a very qualified lead coming in. So make your website as easy to navigate as possible, or in the case of Focal, they're just gonna build you a very easy to navigate website. This includes footer links, so that'll kind of all link back and point to where people should be going. And overall, just no surprises. If somebody clicks to a page, they don't wanna be launched into a full screen video that's auto playing with audio. They would just like to go along their way as they would expect it to happen. Number 4, useful content. We're gonna talk about this a lot more in future videos. To create great helpful content, really keyword rich content that is there to basically answer questions that people are searching for on Google, and to just answer those in an informative way. If you can create amazingly helpful, well-produced content, not necessarily video content, but just text content with photos and things that will really help out people looking for a wedding photographer in your local area, you'll start to notice that 1, your website starts to rank on Google very, very quickly and very high up. And 2, your attention on your page. People are gonna be at your page for 3, 4, 5 minutes. And that is a very, very good thing, both for booking your weddings and getting your website conversions, as well as getting more traction on Google, and also getting those organic shares that if somebody reads something that is truly beneficial, they're gonna share that with their friend. Or maybe the mother of the bride has come across it and is trying to plan her daughter's wedding, which happens often, and they send the link, and then all of a sudden you're in the family. Maybe it's not that easy, but sometimes it is that easy. Number 5, minimize choices. As you can see, the Focal website that was created for me, everything just pushes to pricing, which is kind of the next step, the next organic step in what's about to happen. They come to my website, make sure that they like the images. That gets a check mark. Trust gets a check mark that I exist as a human being, that I'm not just some scammer out there that's made this like little crappy website. They can do a little bit more research on me, see my Instagram, see my YouTube, that I'm up here pretty much every day, at least this month. And they can head on over to the pricing after that, and they can see if I'm available for their date on the Focal calendar right now. It's coming out, I think, the end of January, so you can actually have a full availability calendar, which is helpful for us as wedding photographers, but even more helpful if you're somebody that does mini sessions, or just sessions that you're doing like 5 or 6 shoots within a day. Very easy to schedule, very easy to take payments, and that is coming the end of the month on Focal. So basically, if you're signing up now, you're gonna just get that included, which means next holiday season, or for Valentine's Day or Mother's Day, Father's Day, you're gonna have an easy way to just kind of put things out in the market. And also when you create, we'll talk about this in the SEO video that's coming up in a few days, but when you create packages on Focal, they rank very, very quickly and very specifically for what people are searching for. So if they're looking for that mini session in your local area, there's a pretty good chance you're gonna pop up, and you're going to pop up with a very authoritative looking link, which is going to get a click-through rate that is significantly higher than other people that are actually ranking higher than you. Again, we'll talk about this a little bit more over the next couple of, maybe it's in this video. I don't remember, maybe stay tuned for a surprise perhaps. And number 6, always give people what they're looking for when they come to your website. That means don't run clickbait things just to get people onto your page, like 55 mistakes all people make when getting married, and then you come to a page and it's just this nice gallery of images. Make sure you deliver on whatever content you're promoting or you're advertising, or in the case of Google, they're organically clicking through, they see a link that they think is interesting and they come by and it's something completely different. This is why I think it's very, very, I would say, key to have If you want to be a wedding photographer, to have a wedding photography specific website, to not have something that does 10 different things, or if you are doing a few different things like family and newborns, have them as part of your wedding photography website, and don't have weddings as part of your family photography website or your commercial photography website, or you're basically just not going to be getting as much traction as you possibly could in the wedding space. If that's not a key for you and you're happy booking the 5-6 weddings that you're booking a year, by all means continue and do that if that's your happy place. But if you really do want to create a business that has a lot of volume and you're generating a lot of incoming inquiries, which is kind of key to sustaining a volume-based business, I feel like it's absolutely key to have a wedding photography website. So now we're gonna go talk to Lachlan, and basically my lead into this was the fact that I was telling him that I have built my websites in the past, specifically with Profoto WordPress templates, and I feel like I've never felt like my website is actually complete. That when I build everything myself, the same goes for logos, that if I'm doing my own logo design, I keep changing it over and over and over again. And I think that's the reason I'm not getting inquiries. When it turns out that if you want to be a wedding photographer, you should be the wedding photographer. You don't need to be the tech person. You don't need to be doing all the behind the scenes work on your website necessarily. That there are people that will help you and that they are better at it than you. But we'll go talk to Lachlan now.
Most photographers, they never feel like it's done. I think it's that seeking perfection thing. And I know that can sometimes get in the way of the business. And I guess what we wanted to offer you specifically was something that just works really well, that like you said, provides a really great customer journey. It feels like you. That's why we had many conversations about this website and what your vision was for it. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, the biggest thing is that it showcases your photos. It also shows not just your photos, but what you actually have to offer. Instead of just a line item where it's 8 hours and this amount of money, you get to tell a really rich story in these packages about who this package is good for, and they can get an idea of the types of photos that they would get in that type of session. So say you had an elopement session, say you wanted to add an elopement session, you could do that in 5 minutes. You could fill that package with a bunch of elopement photos, and then if someone's looking for an elopement, super easy for them to tell exactly how that differentiates from maybe a full day wedding.
The thing that I definitely noticed with the new site design is how many calls to action there are to get people to contact and to head over to the packages and the pricing section. It was in the past on my website, it was just like a small little tab, and it was like, yeah, if you want to contact me, come on over here. And now the entire website is obviously built to drive people to come over to the packages and to contact me, which I think is really, really cool.
Yeah, definitely. I think like a good example of this here is like, take this recent gallery that you did, which was amazing, by the way. I was just gushing over these photos. But, there's always like a clear call to action there. And it's like, if you like what you see, if you like this, here's how to actually get it. And that's going to, take that customer so that they can browse the different packages, and then, they might even recognize that photo and say, hey, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Right. But yeah, I think most photographers have the photography part of the photography business, right? Yeah. And it's just, giving you the tools to make everything else easier, to make the business part easier. And that's really, I guess our goal behind the websites, and making sure that they feel like you, and finding that like perfect balance between the business and the photography.
Yeah. And I like, so I obviously have a lot of experience, I guess, creating websites, and I kind of know what to do. Thinking back to myself as kind of my first or second year in business and looking at my website, I feel like I changed it 100 times in a year. That I would learn something new and I'd be like, oh, I have to go back and I have to add image like alt tags to like absolutely everything. Or I would discover that, hey, maybe my link structure is wrong. And another thing that I like the best was that it's just, everything is just set up for best practice, that you don't have to worry too much about SEO and the complexities of essentially it's a near infinite learning process as soon as you start to go down any of these rabbit holes, and to just be pretty much ready to go on all of them without even really having to think about it. You just get to take the pictures, you put the pictures in a recent gallery or in a blog post, and the rest just kind of takes care of itself.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing when it comes to your website is, you just need to make sure that Google even knows about it. And a lot of photographers maybe aren't familiar with how to submit their website to Google Search Console, like send their sitemap in, which is literally just a list of the links on your website, and just sending them to Google so they even know about your website, and so that they can put it in the search results. And so the one thing that is really great about the focal sites is, yeah, they're completely designed with SEO in mind, and everything is just automatically set. So if you add a recent wedding, all the meta titles, the meta descriptions, they're already set. The alt tags are added in, and we help you submit your site to Google so that Google knows about you and customers can find you when they're searching on Google. And the other thing that I think is really important is, the way that the packages are designed, the way that your packages are designed, they're going to show up on Google really specifically. I can actually show you a quick example of this if you're interested. So here's actually a quick screenshot I took the other day, which was really impressive. There was a photographer in our area. She's offering Christmas mini sessions. And she'd created her Christmas mini package on Focal, which she was really happy with because it took her 10 minutes to put together a 10-minute Christmas mini session. But then the way our SEO is set up is it's built with what's called structured data. So if you have reviews, ratings, they show up right on the listing. The name is right there. And from an SEO perspective, really SEO is very simple. It's like if a customer searches for X and your page is named X, it's going to show up. And so you'll see that right here. It's like Christmas Mini Victoria, BC. And then right here in the description, it's like Christmas Mini Victoria, BC. And this is actually position 3 for that search term. And she was actually slammed early November. She couldn't even take any more of these Christmas Mini bookings. So that was really great. But I think that's a good example of how Focal's set up for SEO.
And that link looks very authoritative with just having the 5-star rating underneath. I feel like it just kind of, at least when I glance at that page, I usually ignore the first 1 or 2 search results simply because I think they're ads. Yeah. And that looks like the first legitimate search result to me in my brain. So P3 may be even better than 1 or 2.
Of course, don't want to go too in depth with SEO here because I know we're going to do another separate, more deeper dive into it. But something that was really interesting was when we were looking at the analytics for Tash's Christmas minis here, the click-through rate was like over 30%, which is just like unheard of for for just like Google organic search click-through, which is really impressive. But I think it's like you said, it has to do with just how authoritative that link looks. So
yeah, it just I really, that's not something that I ever knew how to do. I didn't know how to get ratings, and I didn't really know how to do a whole lot of the Google stuff. I knew how to show up because I had an old website, and I may have relied on having just like a 10-year plus website for a little too long. But definitely for a newer photographer just looking to get into Google, it's incredible.
What I think is really powerful about the packages is that like they serve that customer that just wants to like do all the research on their own, find exactly like what they're looking for, fall in love with it. And they're the type of person that when they show up to the car dealership, they already like did all their research and they're like, I want that one with these options. And that's exactly like what they want. And I think the packages really serve that type of customer rather than them having to inquire and you getting the same questions, which is, how much does it cost? What do I get? They get an inquiry and that customer is just ready to book. They're like, yeah, I love your work. I love you. I learned all about you reading about your package, and this is the perfect package and I'm ready to book. And the photographer is almost like, but wait, I feel like I have to email you 10 times or something to explain my value. But I think what's really cool about these packages is they get a lot of that value across.
From my perspective, at least, as somebody that has sent literally tens of thousands of emails, probably with potential clients as well as my booked couples, in the beginning, if you're going to attract ideal clients that also come in and they don't want to over communicate, you're setting kind of the precedent that you don't really need to be managed, that like it doesn't take 50 emails back and forth to get all the information that you want. And I feel like that's going to keep your inbox not as bogged down, and you're not going to be behind on emails as much as I know maybe that's a very high level thing, but it's definitely something that I've noticed.
Yeah, I think you make a great point there. Just like the dichotomy of different types of customers. And I think, we'll talk about this a little later, but it's important to know who your customer is. And I know for sure that customers that love this type of setup are the ones that they don't want to be sold. And I think that's something that's becoming more and more common is, it's not walking into the car dealership and being like, yeah, I'm not sure what I want. Like, I'm looking for a salesman to help me. It's like I said, you know, I've already done my research. I already educated myself, and this is the package I want. So I think figuring out who your customer is really important. And it sounds like for you that this is an amazing system because those are the types of customers that you typically attract.
Another thing that I was super excited to see is just how well everything works on mobile as well. I'll put the metrics for my website up here, but I think it's at least 50-50. Half the people that are coming in are on a mobile device or an iPad. And I suspect that will only continue to increase because what I've discovered over the past year is that some of my couples don't actually have a laptop, that like people don't have computers anymore, and they have an iPad and they can do everything on their iPad, and they maybe have a work computer that they still use. But it's something that's incredibly valuable, obviously, but also something that in the past that I haven't checked in on as much as I should have. And when something breaks, it's not something that I see for a very, very long time. With this site, I feel like I can't break it, which is really, really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's the way we designed it. We know you're the photographer. That's your expertise. Our expertise is in websites and making sure they work really well. And so what we wanted to do is provide like this essentially this turnkey solution for you, where it's like this great sandbox where you can, you know, if you want to add a recent wedding gallery, super easy. You can go in there, add new gallery, add the photos. You can add a video, write your story there, and you can just add it in like a couple minutes. But you don't actually have to build that page. It's just automatically going to add it to your recent gallery section. And you just don't have to worry about things breaking. You're never going in there and fiddling around. And I think that's really great because you run into these photographers that are sort of like set it and forget it. They spend all this time building their website, and then 3 years later, they haven't touched it. And from, you know, an SEO and search perspective, and even from a customer standpoint, you know, when they come on your website and everything's outdated, that's a little bit confusing.
Absolutely. And then, so I guess we didn't even get into the bigger part. So when somebody does get a Focal website, they also get this ridiculously powerful backend as well.
And getting everything under one umbrella would be, I think, every photographer's dream, because I was just talking to another photographer the other day. We're building her site, and she's got her contracts and her bookings through Honeybook, but then she sends the customer a separate PayPal invoice because she didn't want to upgrade to the higher plan on Honeybook. And then she's got her galleries on Pixieset and her website on Weebly. And yeah, and the really cool thing about Focal is it's a sort of all-in-one solution. This is sort of what like the Focal backend looks like that you were talking about, Taylor. It's super easy to go in here and actually like build your packages. You can go in, you can edit them, rearrange photos, edit the content on the fly. You know, and if you're a photographer that does more than just weddings, it's actually really cool. You can add another category. You could go in and add like family or newborn. And then you can actually separate your sort of investment guide into different sections. You'll see in the dashboard, like for bookings, we'll use Taylor as an example. If you wanted to send me a booking, for example, he can put in the meeting places and they send a booking to me. He can actually go in and customize a contract. You can create templates in the dashboard and then just easily select them when you're making a booking. And it's super easy. Just go in and like add a package. I'm going to go for the full deal here.
Thank you. You won't be disappointed.
And then you can actually just send that off to the client. Yeah, and it's really great. So the customer gets a automated email, and then they get this public booking link all under Taylor's domain. Looks really great. Includes the package in here. It's going to be all connected through Stripe so that the customer can come in and pay a deposit. They can pay like a 50% deposit, and then you can send them another email reminder when they need to pay the rest.
I'm excited. As everyone can see, I currently do not have anything in the bookings, and now the process begins to start using the system. So next time you see the back end, I don't know how much I could ever show because I feel like it's my real business. So I probably shouldn't screen cap it and put it on YouTube. But I am very excited to start using it and to have everything in one spot, which is kind of, I don't know, I've been all over the place for the past bunch of years. I do a lot of volume. I do usually on a normal year, like 60 weddings. So all of a sudden to have that very easily organized in one place that I can look at, and also like that everything just happens in one spot. So that is all for wedding photography websites. If you're interested in getting your website built by Focal, built by Lachlan and his team, head on over to the link in the description. If you get it within January, you save that $935 USD setup fee, which is quite significant. It's a lot of work they put into it, and this deal is legitimately so good that it will never come back. So put your name on the list at least in January here, and when slots become available, they're basically kind of throttling everything because they are a small team and they work specifically with you, and they have copywriters, and there's a few moving parts. So they are throttling things. So there was 5 available a couple of days ago. They are all gone now. And Lachlan and Focal are opening up more spots as they become available within their development chain, I guess. But they will get to you as fast as possible. And if you're early on that list, you're obviously going to get in a lot faster. So head on over there and sign up. It is the website that I'm using. It comes with the back end that books everything for you. And you can run your credit card payments through it, as well as all your contracts. There's contract templates up there. It really does solve a lot of problems for us as wedding photographers. It's simple, it's fast, it's easy, it's direct. People know where they're going. Find the packages. They read about the packages. The packages are very, very, very slick. I very much like them. And there's just so much trust and transparency on your new website that you'll be booking 500 weddings a year. No, that's not true. Don't do that. That's too many. Unless you're doing like hour elopements. Even then, it's too many, I think. Thanks for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe and turn the bell on. I will be back again tomorrow to talk about ideal clients and how to start attracting more of your ideal clients. See you next time. That time. Later.